practice activities. From the social cultural perspective, we applied the idea of the zone of proximal development, designing tasks that are challenging but achievable with timely support from our reading tutor. We also grounded our content choices in best practices in the classroom, as well as the national curriculum, ensuring that materials reflect what children are expected to learn in school. And finally, we relied on learner data, specifically the systematic observation of pupils' oral reading, to structure content levels based on actual patterns in learner performance. So in TangLaw, we have several levels, and each level consists of 3 components. So we have the fluency exercise, a fluency tutorial, and a comprehension exercise. So the design of the first 2 components draws directly from interactionist and sociocultural perspectives on learning. So what does that mean? So in the fluency exercise, we give learners repeated exposure to different word forms and opportunities to practice reading. And this is done aloud. In interactionist terms, this provides opportunities for producing comprehensible output. Now, when the system or TangLaw detects reading miscues, the fluency tutorial provides targeted support. So here it takes the form of like listening to correct models of pronunciation, promotes noticing of their errors, and then they're also encouraged to try again. So this aligns with the interactional principles of like modified input, error noticing, and guided output. At the same time, it also aligns with the social cultural ideas of scaffolding, as learners are supported in completing tasks just beyond their current ability. And then finally, when they're able to like pass through the fluency exercises, they go to the comprehension exercise, which extends the learning experience from just decoding the words into meaning making. So while it's not directly tied to like any learning principle or perspective, it ensures that reading practice supports overall literacy development by helping learners connect words to their meaning. So as we said earlier, there are several levels to TangLaw. And so these levels are arranged according to different levels of difficulty. These levels are also defined by specific word characteristics, which can be like the length of the word, different syllable structures introduced, and different sound combinations. When learners use TangLaw for the first time, they have to complete a first reading exercise, or an FRE as we call it, which determines an appropriate entry point and helps place them within their zone of proximal development. Now, to ensure that our leveling is correct and it reflects real learner difficulty, we adopt an evidence-based approach. Instead of relying solely on the curriculum that we have in the Philippines, we examine how learners handle different types of words. This allows us to align the progression of content with learners' real reading behaviors and not just some theoretical expectation. So how did we go about with this evidence-based approach? So it involves running reading records with children across grade levels and from different regions in the Philippines. So in this scenario, learners read words of varying lengths, syllable structures, and sound patterns. And then we then analyze the miscue rates, or like how often they commit mistakes reading certain types of words. And this will allow us to identify which word types are consistently easier or more difficult to read. So across several cycles of refining the word list and testing it with the learners, so we have our clear trends here as shown on the plot. It allowed us to group words into meaningfully difficulty bands. Specifically, there are 6 levels here. So we start with 2-syllable words, and then introducing more complex syllable structure with 3-syllable words as well. And then we introduce new sounds like diphthongs, the NG sound, which is also present in Filipino, as well as consonant clusters and sequences. And then the leveling culminates in combining these features and includes longer words, which we hope would prepare learners for more varied reading across or beyond the TangLaw environment. Now, we don't want to present the exercises as a series of isolated drills. So we instead designed TangLaw to be this story-driven experience. So here, learners take on the role of the main character, and they have a story wherein they have to go through different worlds, each with its own set of like fluency and comprehension tasks. So if you see like here, like the islands here, so it represents like a difficulty level with like different comprehension and fluency exercises. Um, and then as they progress through the game, so they complete tasks, they get badges for it, which they can access in their own learner dashboard. So it provides a layer of gamified encouragement. So with our initial design done, so we want to roll this out and see if we can refine it still. So we conducted a series of usability assessments across 4 public elementary schools. So 2 in Filipino dominant regions and 2 in non-Filipino dominant regions. So it's a 10-day cycle, and it allows us to observe like teachers and students and how they naturally interact with the tutor. So it so our usability test combines guided use, classroom observations, and short interviews. So we let teachers explore account creation, navigation, and even they do the exercises themselves just to see what their learners are going to go through. And then there's always one researcher that accompany them throughout the exercise. This and then for the students, of course, they have to do the fluency and the comprehension exercises. So this process helped us identify barriers that might not surface during development, and this would ultimately guide us with like how to better design our reading tutor. So some of the feedback that we got from our usability tests. So a major insight was from watching how children use our fluency tutorial. So our original interface, which was on the left, we highlight the words where they made a mistake, and there's like a radio button there where they can click on it and they would listen like a modified input, like a highly syllabicated and very good enunciation. Um, it's supposed to like show where they struggled eventually, but for some reason it doesn't work with the students, so sometimes they just continue reading the word list and then move on. So what we did instead is to change it to the interface that you show on the right, wherein we present the misread words one at a time, paired with the expert audio, and then we also added the image that corresponds to the word or the phrase. So this structure better guides learners' attention to exactly where they struggled and creates a clear practice loop between hearing a model, noticing the difference, and then trying again. So we hope that this change directly supports better noticing and more focused practice, which are 2 elements that are important for beginning readers. And then there are other comments that we receive during this usability testing exercise. So it highlighted the importance of clear instructions for young learners. So our initial instructions before would be like, oh, please read this fast, because we were thinking that we have our speech recognition system. If it senses like a long pause, it might stop the recording and it will analyze the spoken input right away. But we saw that our readers took it literally, and then at the expense of reading fast, they weren't reading really clearly. So we changed that part of the instruction from read fast to read clearly, so that the speech recognition system can better process their input. Um, Another important refinement concern was on the system's name. So it wasn't always TangLaw. The original name was Santelmo, which is apparently it carried a negative cultural association in a non-dominant, a non-Filipino dominant region in the Philippines. So we had to change this to TangLaw, which is a Filipino word for torch or light, which is a symbol of guidance and learning. So we hope that this change improve cultural appropriateness and strengthen the identity of our reading tutor. And then we also did like initial, very small scale evaluation of the pedagogical effectiveness. So in this case, we did a pre-post test design with a control group. So in this case, there's one group of pupils who just continued with regular Filipino classes, and then there's the test group, which uses TangLaw um, in addition to their normal classes. And then we focus on measuring their normalized gain scores, which is the difference from a pre-test that we administered before the experiment and the post-test which we administered after the experiment. So there's a total of 92 pupils uh, across the two groups who participated in our study. And this includes students from Filipino dominant and non-Filipino dominant regions. So our first analysis was trying to answer the question, if you use TangLaw with regular classroom instruction, does it improve your reading comprehension skills? And our initial results look promising. So here we applied a one-sided pair t-test on the normalized gain scores. And we only used one-sided because we wanted just to see if there's an increase in the score and not whether there's a change in the score. So it's important that the change is an increase in the reading comprehension score. And across both regions, the results show that statistically, it's there's a significant increase in the reading comprehension gains. And this is true for both Filipino and non-Filipino dominant regions. So that means that pupils who use TangLaw demonstrated clear improvements in comprehension after the intervention. And then we also tried to compare the gains of the test group with the gains of the control group. So if they didn't use TangLaw, we hopefully they would still get improvements in their reading skills. But like, how does it compare with students who use TangLaw? So in this case, we had to apply a different statistical analysis because our data doesn't comply with some normal distribution assumptions. But here are our results. So it shows that TangLaw provides measurable benefits, but it's different for students in Filipino dominant regions and non-Filipino dominant regions. So it's more pronounced. The improvements are more pronounced in non-Filipino dominant regions, wherein learners have less exposure to Filipino outside school. In the Filipino dominant region case, the effects were more modest, but it's so positive. Like, there's no harm with using TangLaw, but it's just more effective when Filipino is not your first language. So just to summarize, if we still have time, so we just presented our initial development and evaluation of TangLaw, which is our reading tutor for young Filipino learners. So we designed TangLaw by combining language learning principles, classroom practices, and curriculum expectations, and evidence drawn directly from our learner data. So during the rollout, usability testing was used to surface important refinements, especially on improving our feedback and instructions, as well as addressing cultural considerations. And then our initial evaluation shows that TangLaw can enhance reading comprehension when used alongside classroom instruction, with particularly stronger gains among learners who do not speak Filipino as the first language. So this provides a kind of like an initial basis to show that, or initial potential to show that TangLaw has the potential to address inequities in language exposure and support literacy development in diverse linguistic contexts. Now, of course, this is just a very initial implementation. There's a lot of things to do. So as we move forward, we want to explore more interactive ways of supporting reading comprehension, activities that go beyond drills, and allow learners to meaningfully engage with TangLaw. We also plan to build teacher-facing dashboards to automatically generate learner summaries, and so that it can better complement classroom instruction. For the rollout side and evaluation side, basically we wanted to expand our testing to accommodate diverse learners and see how TangLaw fares in those situations. So thank you for your attention. This is a team. TangLaw is a product of a multidisciplinary team of engineers, computer scientists, education educators and artists working together towards a shared goal, which is to support young Filipino learners in developing their reading skills. Thank you very much.
Okay, let's give applause, guys. Okay, thank you to Mr. Michael Gringo Angelo Bayona for that insightful and empirically grounded. Okay. Okay, sir. Maybe we will next to the being Q&A sessions for the everyone in the room chat and the participants in the room. You can raise your hand and mention your name in the room chat. Okay. Alright. Ya, silakan.
Okay, thank you for this opportunity. I am Fajar Ilham Nugroho from third semester in UI and Cyber Syah Nurjati Cirebon. So, my question is, what is the strategic rationale behind the decision to focus on Filipino children rather than just English learner in general? Furthermore, to what extent can an AI-based reading tutor model like TangLaw be adapted to the context of Indonesian children? And what modification would be needed to make the technology truly effective linguistically, pedagogically, and culturally? That's all from me.
All right,
Are
thank
you
you
get
for
it?
your question. So,
Can I re-explain?
uh, sorry, yeah.
Are you get it?
Hello, hello. Can I answer the questioner?
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
so let's see. So first, the reason for like choosing Filipino. Um, so so technically, like you can start with any other language in the Philippines. You can, learners in the Philippines, they study Filipino and English around the same time, or at least like maybe there's like one grade level difference. So, um, but aside, so technically you can start with either language, but there's also like a nationalistic goal in here. Like we wanted to promote languages spoken in the Philippines. Um, uh, Before promoting other languages, and that's why uh, we wanted to we wanted to focus on Filipino. Also, we also wanted to like bring a sense of like uh, structure in how we learn Filipino in the Philippines instead of just learning it by immersing yourself with the outside world. And also the problem with that is that a lot of like regions in the Philippines do not have Filipino as like a dominant language. So so this is kind of like a nice way to provide that experience, given that we promote Filipino as a national language. Now, for your second question of like, how do we uh, apply the same system for Indonesian context, I'm assuming. So our engine underneath TangLaw is composed of a speech recognition system and a miscue detection system. Um, and to be able to make this a reality, we have to design a speech recognition system that would be able to correctly process children's speech. So if you wanted to use something that's off the shelf, like for example, something that's based on WAV to VEC and then use that to transcribe the spoken input to text, it won't work for children because the properties of children's sounds, they're highly variational, and they simply just won't work. It will work on adult speech, but if you want it to work for children's speech, you have to fine tune or train your models from the ground up so that it will better um, work with your Indonesian children's speech. And then also we developed TangLaw with close collaboration with people on the ground, people who actually teach the language. So I would suggest that if you're going to try and then do this in Indonesian context, you have to work closely with your educators, um, and then design what kind of like fluency and reading comprehension exercises would work well um, in your classrooms. So that's it. Did I miss any of your question? I think there's a third one there.
Yes, sir. I think enough because we have not a
Oh,
lot
okay.
of remaining time. All right.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Michael Gringo Angelo Bayona from Trinity College, Dublin, Ireland. Please give applause. Okay, I
Thank you
think
very
that's
much.
all for these sessions. We will come back to this room after we move to the next agenda. All right, we now take a short tea break until 2 and 25. For parallel session 2, again featuring AI focused presentation all online. Thank you for your presence, attention, thoughtful engagement. Sampai jumpa lagi. See you shortly.
AsiaCALL, we learn, we share, we grow. Okay, thank you so much. We will now continue with our next keynote session. And this session will be delivered by Professor Shamim Rafiq Galea, PhD. She is the Professor of Applied Linguistics at Segi University. And the theme of the presentation is Ready or Not, English Language Instructor, Readiness for AI-Enhanced Text and Material Design. So to guide this session, we invite our moderator, Ms. Ivo Dinasta Junior SSM Appling.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It's my pleasure to welcome you again to these sessions. So we are in the next discussions with Professor Dr. Shamim Rafiq Galea. Allow me to introduce her. She is an internationally recognized scholar in applied linguistics and also English language educations. Trained as a linguist, Prof. Shamim research lies at the intersections of sociolinguistics, discourse studies, teacher educations, and also professional communications. Prof. Shamim also has published extensively in international journal and scholarly book, contributing significantly to both the theoretical and practical foundations of applied linguistics. She also a frequent keynote and plenary speaker at global conference where she speaks on reality, critical thinking, workplace communications, and also equity in education. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Professor Dr. Shamim Rafiq Galea. Time is yours, Professor.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Assalamu alaikum and salam sejahtera and a very good afternoon. Distinguished guests, respected colleagues and dear friends. First of all, I'd like to take this opportunity to actually thank Professor Nguyen for actually persuading me to return to AsiaCALL after decades. For some of you, you may not know, but I was previously, in the early 2000s, the AsiaCALL president. And I took my exit sometime in the or rather later part of 2000, around 2007, and so on. Now, it's really a privilege for me to be here at the 22nd AsiaCALL International Conference, and thank you to Dr. Lala Rumela and his team. And I'm actually deeply honored to share insights from our Malaysian classrooms as we navigate the question, ready or not? Are our English language instructors truly prepared for AI-enhanced tasks and material design? Now, I draw on some work that my colleagues and I are currently doing within some insights from the Malaysian classrooms. This topic, I believe, resonates with many of you, and it's an area that's necessary to reflect on, and it's already shaping the future of language education, whether we feel ready or not. Just let me ask you, how many of you here create materials every day? Almost every day, right? We all do. We have to create activities, and the worst part is when you're involved with different levels of competency, and that you have to develop differentiated materials, correct? Now, if we look at the literature, the tradition, most of our books on materials and material design, which I'll show you later, are still not there yet. They've not shifted towards looking at how AI can be incorporated. So let me just take you to a quick overview of my talk today, where I've organized my talk into 5 main sections that reflect both the opportunities and realities we face in ASEAN or Asian EFL context. What I'd like to share with you is that I am not a technology person. I am actually, my area is in theoretical and descriptive linguistics. How did I come into this? Practically because I have students working in technology, in AI, and also colleagues doing AI. Now, I decided to do some work in this field because I was collecting data on translanguaging in the classroom. I'm working on a big project together with my colleagues in ILA on translanguaging in the classrooms, and I started talking to teachers, and then I noticed problems, and when they were talking to me about these are side talks. They were not actually what I saw happening in the classroom about using AI, incorporating AI into designing material. So I started to work to collect some preliminary data with my team. And I'm going to organize my talk into 5 main areas. The first part will cover the Asian classroom reality, which is the changing landscape. Yeah? I'll start by grounding ourselves in the real conditions our teachers actually work in: large class sizes, exam-centric cultures, and uneven access to technology. This context shapes everything we can or cannot do with AI. And then the next aspects I will cover on understanding readiness and a multidimensional model. I'll share a framework which I developed with my colleagues from recent preliminary data, where we view readiness not just as technical skill, but it includes pedagogy, cultural judgment, institutional support, and professional identity. This helps explain why some teachers are confident and others are not. I'm not sure where I fall into that continuum, whether very confident, just mediocre, or not so confident. Right. Then the next part, I will organize my talk around tasks and material design with AI, where I'll cover aspects on practice, how ready teachers actually are in using AI, how do they prompt, evaluate, and localize AI output. I'll also share weak versus strong prompts, taken out in context, shared by the teachers themselves, and within the Malaysian-specific example. I'll draw some examples from the FIFA, as well as the Malaysian University English Test, which is MUET, and some around our famous mama culture when you go to some cafes known as the mama context. And the fourth part will be evidence from Malaysian ESL classrooms, ESL, EFL, and I'll look at some preliminary data where I look at instructors' perceptions, barriers, and what influences AI adoption. And this includes insights from national policy, documents, and recent studies. Now, moving forward, in the last part, I will look at practical recommendation, and I finally close with some recommendation for policy makers, institutions, and teachers, and what it will realistically take for us to move from experimentation to meaningful ethical AI integration. That, at least, is my opinion in all this preliminary data that I have. So So if you're looking for a how-to, this is not what I'm doing, but I'm just sharing with you what we've now noticed and observed during the time that we were collecting all this translanguaging data. So with the roadmap in mind, what I just covered in the 5 main areas that I'll be covering, we are trying to situate ourselves in the reality of what the Asian classrooms are like. And many of us are teaching in Asian classrooms, right? So what I aim to do is to explore how educators actually navigate the intersection of traditional pedagogy and emerging AI technologies in English language teaching across Malaysia and beyond. Now, right, I'm not going to read my slides, but so what I want to do is to take you into the lived experience of Malaysian instructors, how they are negotiating the intersection of traditional pedagogy and these powerful new AI tools that are transforming their teaching and learning across the region. And some of you may identify with this context. But before I move on, I'd just like to share with you that we have teachers, when they are going to be transferred to school after graduating from teacher training colleges or from universities, they beg not to be transferred to areas where they know the students are gadget kids. That means they know that the students are really computer savvy. They are literate in every way possible. It's their fear, their anxiety, they actually request not to be transferred to specific areas. Does that resonate with any one of you here? That you have this fear of being transferred to a school where your students might be better than you, or as educators, as lecturers, we walk into the lecture room, our students are far better than us in using technology. I mean, I have students actually teaching me. My PhD students actually teach me a lot of things, and I've learned a lot from them. So it's a two-way process. Right, so in my introduction, we already know that English proficiency is very important in any aspect. So I'm not going to read from my slide, but you can just have a look at it. We already know this, that English proficiency is a key aspiration, not only for Malaysia, but in every other Asian nation. And practically most Asian countries have now adopted CIFA and trying to manage it on their own. I am not a proponent of CIFA. I don't believe in it. I always believe that we should be innovative. Every nation should have its own innovative structure for assessment. But anyway, that's another story. Now, AI is not arriving slowly, and we know that. It has entered our classrooms with speed, scale, and a kind of efficiency we have never experienced before. And if I were to ask each one of you to tell me your experiences about how you grapple with AI, you will have different stories to tell me. Some of you eat, live, sleep, and breathe AI. Some shy away from it. So for some, it's frightening, and for others, extremely exciting, right? And yet, even with all these 12 benefits that we have, from personalized learning paths to reduce teacher workload, the question remains. Are teachers ready to use AI well? This is the focus of my talk. Are you all ready, ladies and gentlemen? Very ready? Wonderful. I think you're more ready than I am. So let's look at the traditional foundations of materials design. People like Tomlinson, Hutchinson, Torres, Jack Richards. I think everybody knows Jack Richards. Everybody knows Tomlinson and Masuhara. McDonough and Shaw, husband and wife couple. Sheldon and the likes, and Little John, Ellis, and so on, Rod Ellis, and so on. They've all written lots of work, books on material design, materials adaptation. But has anyone actually now started incorporating AI in a new edition? Not yet. I actually did my homework and started looking for new editions that would incorporate features of AI into all materials design. And these are Bibles that people actually use. These are the actual books that a lot of us refer to now. So this traditional side of it is still good because it gives you certain characteristics and features that you need to think about. But how do we now take that and merge it with AI? So before AI material design relied heavily on teachers' craft, our instructors spent hours ensuring authentic content, clear communicative purposes, learner engagement, strong contextual relevance, and basically all based on SLA model. Right? Now, everything depended on the teacher capability. And that work, as many teachers will tell you, although it's time-consuming and manually demanding, but today, in the flick of a button, you can get a whole, with the right prompt, you can have material designed and developed for you according to the CIFA level in just about what? Less than 20 minutes? Am I right? I like interaction, so I may ask you questions along the way because it's afternoon, God-forsaken time at this time of the day to do a presentation where you're most likely still very full from lunch and feeling a little bit sleepy. Right. So going into the AI revolution, so let's look at the difference. With the AI revolution, tell me the difference between traditional and AI. How has the dynamic changed? Anybody wants to share? Has the dynamics changed in materials? No? Tell me why. I'm keen to know that. Why? Why do you say the dynamics has not changed? It's still challenging?
Yeah. Everything is still challenging, just the tools that we're using have changed.
Yeah? Yes, there's no right wrong answers here. For some, it's still challenging, but some, they find that it makes their work easier. Especially when you have a huge classroom of 40, 50, how do you grapple with that? And then if you're trying to develop and design differentiated material, that's also even more challenging. So, in actual fact, AI has somewhat, I just say somewhat, changed this dynamic, okay? And it can generate a reading text in seconds. Put in the CIFA level that you want, the context that you want, and it generates the text in no time. I used to remember the time when I was an ESP instructor. I had to design materials for different disciplines and how difficult it was to even create a reading text that was so technically laden with technical terminology. But today, that has changed, right? So it can produce 3 levels of the same passage instantly for level 1, level 2, level 3, very fast, right? So it can design quizzes, lesson plans, even oral prompts with unimaginable speed. Just at a flick of a button with the right prompt. But AI also disrupts tradition, right? It raises new questions. How do we ensure accuracy? I'm throwing questions for you to think. How do we preserve cultural awareness, cultural relevance? We talked about that. We had 2 lovely ladies yesterday presenting their talk where culture played a role. It can produce 3 levels of same passage instantly. You can design quizzes, lesson plans, even oral prompts with unimaginable speed, as I mentioned earlier on. And how do we maintain quality, by the way? How do we know that what we produce is of quality? And where does human expertise sit in all this? Where is the humanistic aspect in all this? For me, these questions are not optional. They are essential. It is something we need to think about. Now, let me talk about the gap, the research gap, a missing perspective of what we know and what's missing. My team and I, we noticed something in doing this preliminary study. We know that there's already substantial research on students' use of AI, motivation, engagement, learning outcome, as Dr. Hassan presented this morning. And you talked about some of the papers that you've written on engagement, affective, metacognitive, and so on. But far less attention has been given to the educator's perspective, right? Are they ready? What skills do they need? What barriers do they face? This missing perspective forms the basis of my team and I's inquiry. Now, the Asian classroom context, yeah, you have unique challenges. For example, like Malaysia, like many Asian countries, we face 3 structural realities, right? Very large classes. I'm not too sure about Japan, though. I don't think you have that large classes. Do you? Okay. How about in Indonesia? Do you have large classes? Yes. Yeah. So differentiation becomes very difficult when you have large classes, right?
this, tick, this, tick, satu dua tiga, tick, this, tick, 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 this, satu dua tiga, tick, this, tick, 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 satu dua tiga, this, tick, tick, satu dua tiga, this, tick, low, this, tick, 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 satu dua tiga, this. Tick, 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 satu dua, this, tick.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, good afternoon, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Room A. Okay, we're continuing our exploration of AI tools for language educations with two more compelling online presentations that bridge pedagogy, technology, and learner-centered innovation. As a reminder, each presentation is allowed 20 minutes for delivery and for Q&A. Please note our presenters today are joining us virtually and we appreciate their efforts across time zones and digital space to share their work with us. Okay, I will make sure before to Mr. Lete Tuyet Phuong.
Sorry, you call my name Nguyễn Thị Như Ngọc. Is that right? Excuse me, you call my name Nguyễn Thị Như Ngọc. Mix, not mixer. Right. Is that right? I will present my topics right now. Nguyễn Thị Như Ngọc, is that right?
Good afternoon, moderator. Could you inform us the yeah.
Excuse me, moderator. Can you tell us the presenters' names again?
For the presenter in this session, it is Miss Nguyen Trong Sa Le Pom Tin Tu Phonat Sin Letitui Nguyen Ngok Hip.
Yes, we are here.
All right, thank you, Miss, for
Can
your
you hear me well?
confirmations. Okay,
Can you
Miss.
hear me well?
I just remember to you, you have 20 minutes for delivering and Q&A. So, are you ready for deliver your title, AI Translation Editing Behavior of Undergraduate AFL Students Study in the Decision-Making Process?
Yes, hello everyone. Could you hear me well? Hello from Vietnam.
Okay, hello, Miss.
Yes, my name is Lê Thị Thúy and you can call me Hannah, yes, for easy, right? And now it's time for our presentation, right? So thank you so much for introducing me. Yes. Yes. As I said before, my name is Thúy Hannah Lee, right? And I'm a lecturer at Industrial University of Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. It's my pleasure to be here today. And on behalf of my co-authors, Mr. Dr. Nguyễn Trường Tra, Dr. Nguyễn Ngọc Hiệp, Miss Lê Phạm Thiên Thư, Mr. Võ Nhất Sinh, right? And now I'm going to share with you our research on AI translation editing behavior of undergraduate EFL students, a study into decision-making process. Yes. So let's look at the parts in our research here. Okay, we'll go through 5 main parts here, but I just move to the content already here. The first one, looking at the timeline here, you could see the revolution in translation and especially in AI translation. And we could see that from the 1950s until now, there are different models of machine translation has already applied. The first one from the rule-based machine translation, and then move to statistical machine translation, neural machine translation, and now generative AI and large language models. And these the emergence of Gen AI has already enhanced language-related fields, learning, teaching, right, as well as the translation and interpretation. Yes, and we could see that Gen AI has brought us to a new translation landscape, both promise and some other things I will tell you before, later, sorry. Yeah, so now let's look at the promise of Gen AI translation. Several studies have shown that Gen AI is revolutionizing translation, offering higher reliability and speed. And it also excels at handling large volumes, ensuring consistency and translating technical terminologies with high accuracy. And in terms of translation teaching, AI can also be an anytime available and cost-effective companion for translator like translation learners, or we say student translators, as well as the training institutions. With the assistance of AI translation, the qualities of work, translation work, has increased a lot, has been increased a lot, which was also superior to human from cross-translation, according to Dung 2025. And as I said before, Gen AI brought us some promise for the new translation landscape, as well as the challenges. So, according to Monius and Sari 2024, AI struggle with ambiguity, cultural nuance, and idioms. And this creates a critical new challenge for a translator, especially in the novice ones. So, from the existing literature, we could see that a great deal of research focuses on the output quality of AI translation, and most of the AI tools could be used by experienced professionals. The study focused on the use of AI with experienced professional in translation field. So what is the gap here? Yes. Little attention has been made to the subject of novice student translators. And one more thing that we want to focus here is that we haven't found out so much research on the decision-making process of the student, of the learners, or of the novice translators. Yes, we wonder whether or not the student translator use AI. The strategies that they use AI to support their translation task. Yes, and these things could be crucial for effective use of AI in this field. So our novelty for this research is we aim to investigate the why and how. Why here focus on why novice choose to use or to employ AI, and how they strategically edit AI's output. That's the reason why we come to three main aims of the study. The first one, the factors. We aim to identify the factors shaping student decision to employ AI for translation. The second one is about the process and strategy that students use or apply to edit AI-generated translations. And the last one, we want to explore the student overall evaluations and perceptions of this hybrid translation process. And thus, we have three research questions relevant to the three aims before, right? And to conduct the research, yes, we follow several steps here. Could you look at the diagram, right, to show you the procedure to when we conducted our research. During 15 weeks of the translation course, sorry, because on the slide you could see 12, right? Yes. There are 15 weeks during a translation course at our university, but our study just focus on 5 weeks, right? From week 5 of the course, there was a class discussion in which students and instructor discuss about using AI tools for their translation assignments. The student was encouraged to use AI tools for different translation tasks and in different steps involved in the translation process. So it means that they have their own choice. They make their own choice for which AI tool they use, for the step they use, and for what aspect of or what step, what aspect of the translation task that they want to utilize the benefits, the advantages of AI, right? And then they complete their translation assignment with the support of AI, yes. And after every single translation task, they need to submit their self-reflection report. The self-reflection report includes yeah, in the self-reflection report, they share their ideas about the extent of AI assistance in their translation. Some students say AI support them 50% or 70%, like that. And then, which AI tool that they use? Most of them use ChatGPT and Gemini. It's too common in our country. Yes. And the reason they choose these AI tools, as well as their perception on the AI limitation, and the reason that lead to their adaptation or the changes, the modification based on the AI generated text, right? And you could see here, the data from self-reflection survey will be analyzed based on the content analysis, right, this one. And then among 107 participants involved in the study, we chose 6 students randomly to conduct stimulated recall interviews. The interview here was conducted right after their utilization of AI in their translation task to make sure that they remember what they have done, right? And then the data was analyzed based on the thematic analysis. We use NVivo software to code the themes, the key themes based on their responses. Yes. And after analyzing data, we come to several results. The first one, for the first research question, the factors shaping decision making for AI employment among participants. And we generate 9 themes, right? 9 themes about the factors affecting how participants decide to use AI tool for their translation task. And I can summarize these 9 themes into 3 aspects. The first one is AI factors. Like they consider that AI is intelligent, right? Yes. So they can do the task well. And for the speed, yeah, sure. And accessibility means that ChatGPT or Gemini, the students just access their free version, and they found out that that's enough for their task when learning. And the second group of factors is human factors, student and instructors. Based on their own proficiency and confidence level, they could make the decision for what AI to use and when to use, how to use the AI tools. And then one more important thing is the encouragement from teacher, because the teacher, instructor in class encourage them to do that. We do not stop students, prevent students from using AI. We encourage them to use and take advantage of these tools. And one more group of factors is the task. The task itself have some kinds of the feature of requirement, the specific requirement, right? So that's also the reason why students decide to choose, right? So to sum up for this point, we could see that the student decision, the process that students make their own decision is an interrelated process among different factors, as we said before, like from AI factors, capacity of AI to themselves, from human factors, and from the task factors, as I mentioned. What about the second question? How students edit their AI translation works? They, with the support of the AI, they have some kinds of AI generated translations, and they need to decide some additions based on the text there, right? And we could find out that they responded that they did something with the linguistic. It means they edit the morphology, syntax, semantics, and pragmatics. And actually, there are two levels of linguistic here. The first one, the basic one, is grammar and morphology, but they do more than that, right? They do some editing for the semantics. It means they correct the meaning because they see the meaning is not relevant for the translation from English to Vietnamese or Vietnamese to English, right? And then pragmatics. It means they adjust some points in the translation to make it appropriate to the cultural context. It's like we are Vietnamese, so we understand how Vietnamese people use the language for this case, right? Different from AI. And then that, and before you could see some behavior for the editing and proofreading. They did several things like they add something, they delete something, they substitute, right? And this could be, see, it is a high level of editing, right? Yes. Reordering the ideas for flow, they rewrite for clarity, and they make some substitution, right? They change, depends on the cultural appropriateness, right? And this is a sample, this is evidence from student voice on editing. A student said that, I believe that ChatGPT can work well already on the grammar, so they believe in grammar, right? But the content in this part is quite special, as only Vietnamese people know about this culture. So it needs to work again on the information here. Yes, they need to make the decision for edit, right? And then move to the next findings. For the third research question, we want to explore student evaluation and recommendation for the AI support translation. And the findings show that there are several teams here. The first one, they agree that AI is an inevitable and essential tool for modern translation. The second one, imperfect. They say that AI is imperfect, right? AI is still far from perfect, especially for cultural and ethical terms, right? And irreplaceable, right? The human translator is irreplaceable for critical judgment and cultural awareness. Right? We cannot be replaced by AI, right? Because we have something that AI do not, right? And the skill is important. This is the basic translation skill that students have learned before, and they accumulate these kinds of knowledge to have, right? So these translation skills remain crucial even when they utilize AI, right? Yes. So let's come to the conclusion from our study here. The first one about the student decision making. As I said before, there are several factors, right, influence or impact the student decision making process here, from the AI factors, from human factors, and then Another one is the task factors, right? And the second one is about student editing behavior, right? The study's key insight is that students are not passive users. They are actively positioning themselves as a lead translator. Yes. Let me explain a little bit about the lead translator. We could see that the student, for the translation task, the student does not passive read or work with the, interact with the task. They do more than that. They actively engage in the translation task, and even with AI, they have to make the choice. They have to decide how to edit, which points need editing, right? Yes. And then their evaluation for the AI tool, they treat AI as a co-translator, the assistant, the companion, right? And then when they work with AI, they also enhance their high order thinking skill, like they need to validate the information, they need to self-reflect the information and evaluate the AI generated text, right? And all in all, the encouragement and authorization from the instructor also play an important role here, right? With the encouragement for using from translator, we need to say that, we need to must note that the encouragement here did not result in student over-relying on technology, no, right? Rather than with the teacher reminders and supervision, students demonstrated greater autonomy and awareness of using AI. They show their responsibility and they understand how to cooperate with the AI tool. So they consider AI a co-translator. Okay, yes. And let's move to the last part. There are some implications from our research for education field. Translation pedagogy must evolve. Instead of using the traditional or the kinds of we say traditional teaching methodology, right? A student have to translate from cross. So now with AI, we do not need to do that, right? So in that case, instructor should move beyond just teaching from cross translation, and they should integrate new skills, or we need to add more things in the translation course, like hybrid translation model should be employed in the translation course, and prompt engineering is very important for students to make the right prompt, to ask AI, right? To talk with AI. That's okay. Critical AI literacy. AI literacy, yes, of course. Students need to learn. Instructor need to improve the AI literacy as well as student. Right? They need to transfer this knowledge to student. We need to know how AI works, right? Yes, and improve it to make it critical. And one more thing here, we also use the term both editing in our research. Both editing is mean that AI generated text first, and then we say student translators who learn translation course, right, need to edit after AI. So we use the term both editing. And in our full paper, we also mentioned the different types of bold editing, like light editing, just focus on accuracy only, and the full BE, full bold editing, with that focus on accuracy, fluency and other aspect of language, right? For the perfect or for the file translation products, right? And teaching student for editing strategy is really significant, right? So that's all about our study. Yeah, this one. And now let's come to the Q&A session. Yes, thank you for joining my presentation. And now it's time for you to share your thoughts, and I could learn from the ideas. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much to Miss Hannah Lee. Okay, let's give applause, guys. Okay, thank for such a richly region demonstrated in pedagogical innovation. But I'm sorry, Miss. We are nothing have no remaining time, so we didn't open the Q&A sessions. All right, it doesn't matter, Miss.
Okay. Yes. So if you have any question or any concern about our research here, you could say something in the chat box, right? Yes. Thank you so much.
All right. Okay, Miss. Maybe next soon we are willing to having a time more. We will to make questions and answer. But now we move to the next presenters. Our second presentations bring us full circle back to learning retentions and meaning making. Okay, I will make sure it before to Miss Dung My Dung from Freudian Trade University. Are you hear me?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you very much. Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you, Miss, for confirmations. All right, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready now. So can we start?
Okay,
Right now?
let's start to being the presenters. The second presenters to Miss Dung Mai Dang from Fragrant Trade University, Ho Chi Minh City from Vietnam. The stage is yours virtually.
Yes, thank you very much for your introduction, the moderator. So can I share my screen? It's okay. Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here to make a short presentation related to the topic Learners' Attitudes Towards AI Roles in Personalized Learning, a case from FTU Ho Chi Minh City of Vietnam. Yeah, and I am from Foreign Trade University Ho Chi Minh City campus of Vietnam. So let's have a look at my presentation. We can start with the research context here. As you know, whilst AI's general advantages in education are well documented, significant gap still remains in understanding how generative AI specifically shape business student personalized learnings in Vietnam. However, there's a key unexplored areas including sustained effect on learners' motivation, engagement, and practical obstacle encountered by instructor and student. So the students are the primary beneficiary of educational advancement. So the insights are critical in assessing the practical impact of AI's technology in educational setting. And our study provides a crucial feedback for planning AI with effective teaching methods in Vietnamese business higher education. Let's have a look at the learning environment, the course design. So the student engage with generative AI in a 3-credit. AI is for business communication course designed to enhance academic writing skill to AI student. There's some key feature we also focus in this course that is like a minimum 4 hours quickly engagement with designated AI's platform. Integration with its Moodle PLE customized for AI student. Extensive instructor guidance and scaffolding. Real-world AI application in business context. And a theoretical framework was built on the 3 points here. The first one is personalized learning environment. Choices on the Australian School Generative AI Framework and UNESCO Education 23 Entrance Declaration. The second one we focus on, that is the cognitive skill assessment. And this one also is guided by Bloom taxonomy to measure problem solving and critical thinking capability. The third one, we also build on the motivation theory based on Ryan's and Dexy's self-determination theory for intrinsic and extrinsic factor. In order to solve the problems here, so there's a 3 research questions we focus on. The first one, personalized learning. How does generative AI facilitate the development of personalized learning experiences and cognitive skill in educational setting? The second one, we focus on the motivation and engagement, the impacts that generative AI have on enhancing student motivation and engagement in learning processes. And the third one, that is the technical challenges here. How do educators and students address technical challenges and optimize the use of generative AI in educational context? So the methodology we apply for our study. First, have a look at the participant. So here we use a 48 freshman student from Foreign Trade University, age 18 to 21, enrolls in AI for business communication courses at FTU Ho Chi Minh City campus. And we also try to collect the data through semi-structured interview conducted within the Moodle PLE platform, lasting approximately 30 minutes, with audio recording and verbatim transcription. The approach we use here, that is thematic analysis following Sproul and Clark methodology with systematic coding allied to conceptual framework. So the research finding we also recognize through our study. The first one is enhanced learning efficiency. So 35 students, recognize that maybe student recognized related to the homework and exam support. Student reported AI's effectiveness in problem-solving strategy, article refinement, and course content creation. The second was about 29 students also highlighted immediate feedback as a strategy that substantially enhanced writing's quality. And 24 students also points out that students found AI as highly efficient in handling repetitive and time-sensitive tasks. Another point we also recognize that is a cognitive skill development. So there's a 3 main points we also focus on, like a diverse perspective. So the student reported AI generates multiple viewpoints, aids understanding from various angles. The second one, some novel question here. 21 students highlighted AI's ability to pose a new question, sparkling curiosity and exploration. And they also focus on the innovative solution. So the 18 students also noted that AI's help devise creative solution, enhances problem-solving capability. Higher order thinking skill. Students also show creativity enhancement. 33 students noted that AI's foster creativity through diverse perspective and innovative solution. And the student also reported AI's also help them to improve ability to pose critical question and analyze viewpoints. And it's also help them to deal with the problem, solution. For example, maybe it's like 28 student values AI simulation of complex scenario and strategic guidance. We also recognize the motivation and engagement boost for the student. Focus on personalized resources here, real-time feedback. The student can recognize the benefits of intelligent tutoring system, enhances interactivity, as well as maybe the sustainable interest. The student reported that AIs meet unique learning needs through personalized contents here. With the power of personalization, many students also recognize generative AI can help them generate personalized learning content based on their interests and learning style making learning more targeted and interesting. And the AIs also provide interesting and attractive learning material, helping us better understand and master knowledge. However, maybe this is when they encounter some difficulties, AIs also use the knowledge base to provide suggestion. So help the student complete meaningless tasks, allowing them to invest more time and energy into learning. The student also recognize some emotional responses to AI, like a surprise and wonder. They also show that like AI generated content, providing new perspective and solution that had been considered. The curiosity and inspiration. AI's comprehensive knowledge reserve stimulates curiosity and from deeper exploration, and it also help them, feel like they was communicating with real people. And this also help the student, especially in the context of uses English as a foreign language. However, there's also some challenges related to technical proficiency requirement. Like some student, about 16 students also highlighted beginners face barrier in effective AI interaction and parameter setting, or maybe it's a time investment. They also mentioned that they need some extra time to learn and adapt to AI's tool operation. And some students, about 15 students, also reported AI sometimes fail to comprehend complex queries fully. The next point, they also feel some doubt related to the accuracy, and concerns reliability concerns here, like information accuracy issue. Sometimes maybe it's also to try to give some, we can call it erroneous or inaccurate, requires user verification and filtering, misleading responses, or professional knowledge gap. The student also recognize AIs may provide wrong answer to specialize a question rather than acknowledge its limitation. Another limitation related to AI application that is over-reliance risk. It can influence the independence of thinking of the student. The student worries excessive reliance on AI could diminish their ability to think independently. Critical evaluation. They also raise concern about inaccuracy or biases misleading their thinking or decisions making, or the privacy and ethics when they use AI. Another point related to the limitation here, that is the data security. Students also show concern about data security and privacy, particularly given the large volumes of personal data that AI systems handle. But we also recognize maybe beside the limitation here, there's also some opportunities in education. That is, AI can help to focus on personalized learning, enhance teaching efficiency, and educational innovation. For example, with the personalized learning, 23 students emphasize AI can tailor learning content and methods to individual student interests, ability, and learning style. Or maybe the student also recognize AI's automatic grading assessment capability, reduce teachers' workload. Educational innovation. AIs can facilitate innovation through virtual reality and augmented reality, providing immersive learning experiences. So from this finding, we can have some recommendation for the student-centered approach. Adopt interdisciplinary approaches to AI integration with a comprehensive faculty training. So the university also tries to provide ongoing professional development for educators to effectively integrate AI technology into pedagogical approaches. Or the ethical safeguard also try to establish robust policy addresses data privacy and ethical concern to foster responsible AI's use. And we also try to balance implementation when we use AI in teaching and learning. So there's some implication for practice, for educator, policy maker, for researcher. For educators, we also try to integrate AI as a complementary teaching tool, provide scaffolding and guidance for ASU, emphasize critical evaluation skill. For policymakers, we should try to establish data privacy regulation, address ethical concerns, support faculty's development, and for researchers, also conduct longitudinal study, explore cross-cultural context, include educator perspective, and we also try to validate with quantitative methods. In conclusion, we can say that generative AI significantly enhance personalized learning, cognitive skill, motivation, and engagement in business education context. Success require careful management of technical barrier, accuracy concern, because over reliance on risk is also take maybe some limitation for this one. And we also try to take some consideration related to ethics when we use AI in teaching and learning. For the future's research, the researchers should try to focus on a longitudinal study with larger, diverse sample and mixed methods needed to validate finding and explore long-term impact. So that's all for our presentation, and thank you very much for your attention.
All right, thank you. Let's give applause, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much to Miss Dung. Okay, thank you, Miss, for delivering. Maybe now we not being a Q&A session because we have not remaining time, right? Because we have two presenters again, two in this time. All right, for the next speakers, I
Thank
will.
you.
It doesn't matter, Miss.
Yes, I did just call my name.
All right. Maybe I will make sure it about the presenters, the second presenters, Nguyen Nguyen. Could you hear me?
Yes, we are. I'm here.
Okay, thank you for the confirmations. Okay. To Miss Nguyen Nguyen, we will be presenting about title Enhancing EFL Vocabulary Acquisition with Generative Artificial Intelligence and Empirical Study. So, the Miss Nguyen Nguyen, the stage is yours virtually.
Thank you so much. I would like to share my screen.
All right, Miss.
All right. So, good afternoon, everyone. I'm here representing my team, consisting of Mr. Lê Nguyễn Như Anh, Ms. Huỳnh Thời Định, Mr. Mai Xuân Khang, Mr. Phan Trung Kiên, Mr. Nguyễn Quốc Anh, and me, Hoàng Ngọc Minh Thư. And today I'm going to share with you about our topic, Enhancing EFL Vocabulary Acquisition with Generative AI, and Empirical Studies. So let's start with the background of our presentation, our study. So since 2018, the new general education program in Vietnam has emphasized the development of communicative competence rather than merely transmitting linguistic knowledge. Vocabulary and grammar are now positioned as tools to support communication. And in the context of rapid technological advances, integrating AI into English teaching and learning has become widely common, though it remains underexplored in Vietnam. Empirical studies, especially those in the context of high schools, are still limited. Therefore, our study aims to address the current gap in the field. To achieve these objectives, our research proposes the following questions. First, to what extent do AI-powered chatbots enhance EFL vocabulary acquisition? And the second, in what ways do AI-powered chatbots impact learners' motivation? We're going to move on to the literature review. There are four aspects that we need to look at. First is vocabulary acquisition. Second is task-based learning. Third one is self-regulated learning. And last but not least is SAMR. In second language acquisition, Krashen distinguishes clearly between learning, the conscious process of approaching a language through rules, and acquisition, which occurs when learners use the language naturally and unconsciously. For vocabulary in particular, acquisition can occur in two ways: intentional learning and incidental learning, reflecting different aspects in different levels of awareness in the language reception process. However, neither incidental nor intentional learning is always effective for all learners. Therefore, a flexible combination of both approaches is necessary. For this reason, the research team selected the task-based learning approach. A task-based learning approach to support this process. In this approach, vocabulary is not taught in isolation, such as in traditional methods, but it is put in meaningful, real-world contextualized tasks that promote meaningful language use. The study applies Willis' task-based learning framework, which consists of three stages. The pre-task, where the teacher introduces the topic and preparing the necessary vocabulary. The task cycle, where students perform the task, plan their output, and report the results. And the last one is the language focus stage, where the teacher provides guidance and corrective feedback on vocabulary and grammar. This model was chosen because of its clear structure, learner-centered nature, and strong suitability for an integration with an AI chatbot. And in the context of second language learning, motivation is considered one of the key aspects of influencing language acquisition. And given the importance of learning motivation, this study adopts Zimmerman's cyclical phases model of self-regulated learning as the theoretical framework to better understand the impact of motivation on students' learning processes. This model includes four main sources of motivation. First one is self-efficacy. Next is outcome expectations, task interest and valuing, and goal orientation. Oh, this is a small mistake in the slide here, really sorry. And this cyclical model is regarded as flexible and well-suited to digital learning environments. And to evaluate the extent to which technology can transform the learning experience, the research team compared with the SAMR model and decided that it corresponds to the redefinition level, because the chatbot not only enhances existing tasks, but also creates entirely new learning activities that were previously impossible to implement. This AI integrated chatbot transforms traditional TBL activities into real-time interactions. It enables students to practice language in a more natural context by providing immediate, personalized feedback and adapting to learners' performance. And after reviewing relevant theoretical foundations, we propose a conceptual framework that summarizes the process of using an AI chatbot to support vocabulary acquisition based on the TBL and SAMR approaches. And the next part is our research design. Our research was conducted in Nguyen High School, Bình Thuy Ward, Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam for a duration of 5 weeks. The participants were 4 grade 11 classes studying the 2018 General Education Program. And the research team adopted a sequential explanatory mixed methods design. To evaluate the effectiveness of the chatbot. The study consisted of 2 phases, the qualitative phase and the quantitative phase. The quantitative phase was carried out first. Quantitative data was collected to the updated vocabulary levels test, designed based on nation's 2012 vocabulary list, the pre and post test with the vocabulary knowledge scale test, and the questionnaire. We used the SRLO questionnaire to investigate how AI-powered chatbot influence learners' motivation. And following the quantitative phase, we conducted a qualitative phase with some recorded and transcribed interviews. The data was analyzed using the thematic analysis, a 6-step thematic analysis following Braun and Clark's framework, and they were manually coded using color coding and synthesized into tables for more detailed interpretation. For our intervention, the instrument was the POE chatbot that we designed ourselves. The target vocabulary was selected based on the frequency of occurrence in the articles and drawn from nation's vocabulary list using analysis generated by the Ant Word Profiler program. The chatbot was developed using an intentionally designed prompts that specify the role, interaction context, assigned tasks, and expected output objectives. And here are the results of our study. Regarding the vocabulary levels test, the results of the analysis show that students in both groups show proficiency in the first 1,000 words, but began to struggle at the 2,000 level, indicating that most had not yet reached this threshold. Therefore, the assessment focused on vocabulary within the 2,000 to 3,000 word range. Before conducting inferential analysis, all required statistical assumptions were checked and met, including normal distribution, scale homogeneity, data independence, and equality of variances between groups. The pre-test results of the experimental and control groups were compared using an independent samples t-test. And based on the results, the significant value, alpha, two-tailed was greater than 0.05, and the t-value was smaller than the critical value 1.984 at the 95% confidence level. Therefore, it can be concluded that the two groups were equivalent in vocabulary proficiency at the beginning of the study, and this ensures that both groups were suitable for the subsequent intervention. The pair samples t-test results show that in both groups improved in their vocabulary test. However, the improvement in the experimental group was significantly higher. And the independent samples t-test indicated that this difference was statistically and practically significant, with a large coherency effect size, demonstrating the clear impact of the AI chatbot on students' vocabulary development. Moving on to our questionnaire responses, data from our questionnaire were analyzed based on 4 motivational scale categories. And the pair samples t-test results show that increases in all 3 factors: the online self-efficacy, intrinsic motivation, and extrinsic motivation after the intervention compared with the pre-survey results. However, the negative emotions towards online performance, online learning, decreased compared with the pre-survey results. And this is a summary of our interviews. So during the analysis, 3 major themes emerged. The first one is confidence, anxiety, and motivation. So after using the chatbot, most interview students reported feeling less pressure and experiencing higher motivation and become more confident in learning English. The next theme is the perceived impact of chatbot use. Many students stated that learning with the chatbot improved their vocabulary and grammar, and they enjoy the experience thanks to the chatbot flexibility and ability to ask follow-up questions and provide explanations during task completion. Its accessibility anytime, anywhere, across multiple platforms was also appreciated. And for the third theme was continued use and suggestions for improvement. Most students expressed a strong desire to continue using the chatbot to enhance vocabulary learning and offer suggestions to improve the learning experience. So now let's jump to the conclusion. Okay, so for the first research question, the integration of AI chatbots in vocabulary instruction has a positive impact on learners' vocabulary acquisition, helping learners acquire vocabulary more effectively through contextualized practice. And for the second research question, regarding motivation, the AI chatbots provides a flexible, personalized, and engaging learning environment that encourages more frequent student participation. And here's our discussion. In terms of the effectiveness in vocabulary acquisition, with the chatbot, vocabulary is encountered within task-based contexts that promote meaningful use. This aligns with the theories of incidental vocabulary acquisition, which suggests that learners acquire words more effectively when they appear in context. And after the intervention, more students reach higher levels of word definition and application, meaning that they're not only able to remember the words, but use them more accurately and flexibly. These findings were consistent with the results from similar studies in the field. And immediate feedback and contextual prompts from the chatbot reinforce deeper learning and optimize the learning experience, supporting previous research on the positive impact of technology-enhanced learning on students' vocabulary development. And regarding the students' attitude, constructive feedback from the chatbot created an environment for active vocabulary practice, encouraging interaction and question asking, which contributed to increased learning motivation. And that is also the end of our presentation. If you have any question, please feel free to ask, and thank you so much for your attention.
Okay, thank you, Miss Minhu. Okay, let's give applause, guys. Okay, thank you for delivering your speech, but I'm very apologize to you because we want to open the Q&A session because this time for the keynote speakers, Miss. It doesn't matter?
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I think it's the last of the speaker in this today. So I'm as moderator, so thank you and apologize to any mistakes. That concludes parallelization in 3 in the room A and our full series of AI focus session for today. So let's give applause, guys. Okay. Sampai jumpa and terima kasih. Saya Anandita Malasyalwa Heriana pamit undur diri. Thank you very much.